All right, I want to talk today about casting spells. And this is part of something I tend to find really helpful, which is using analogies and metaphors to understand the relationships we have in our lives and the relationships we have with ourselves. Analogies that take us out of this 9-to-5 world we're living in, the mundane world we're living in, where there isn't energy, there isn't magic, there aren't curses or spells or blessings or angels or demons or entities. No, it's all very, cable news, YouTube, Twitter, basic. And that's actually not how things work, is it? There is energy and there are complexities to the way that we deal with people. So let's look at this. Let's look at casting spells and sorcery almost as a way to understand relationships. And in particular, maybe this can clue us into somewhat narcissistic relationships where we end up constructing these walls of a castle. We end up constructing these layers of an onion that gradually distance us and dissociate us from reality. Okay, so let's look at this from the standpoint of a spellcaster. What do I mean, a spellcaster? A wizard, basically. Someone casting spells. What is that all about? Well, this is about someone who is creating the illusion of a reality, and they do it by sucking energy and pulling energy. I mean, that's a big part of the definition of narcissism, so that shouldn't really surprise us. But when we throw in the idea of casting spells, we're also using the idea of, what do we think of? Almost jinxes, hexes, curses, or you can think of positive spells too, like blessings. But oftentimes the spells that we're using are about manipulating reality. If you're thinking about this sorcerer metaphor, and the manipulation of reality actually comes from manipulating the unconscious of other people around you. It's essentially bifurcating reality and splitting it into a conscious component and an unconscious component. So you might be having a conversation with someone and saying, "Oh, don't you think, it would be great if you came to the party on Saturday? I'd really love to see you. Yeah, I mean, it would be so cool to have you over there, right?" And I'm not doing a fantastic imitation of this kind of spellcasting pseudo-narcissism, but essentially the energy that you can imagine there would be an energy of, on the one level, it seems innocent. You're inviting someone to the party, but you're also trying to kind of love bomb them. You're trying to kind of rope them into a certain mirage, if you're doing it correctly, where they think that they are really integral to your experience, but you actually want them there because they serve as some chess piece on your chessboard as this kind of spellcaster, right? And so if you're really getting good at this, or if you're using all kinds of techniques to do this as this spellcaster, you might even guilt trip them in a very subtle subconscious way. You might make them feel that they're not really being a great friend if they don't come, or a great partner if they don't come. There's all kinds of tricks of the trade you can use. By the way, the reason I'm so bundled up, I just realized, is because I am airing out the top floor of this house and it is cold in here. So back to what I'm saying. You might find that you're roping them into your reality through creating this unconscious level where you're adding guilt and you're adding blame and you're adding accusation and you're adding innuendo and subtext. Well, this is actually about speaking to their unconscious and hoping that their conscious mind doesn't figure it out. If their conscious mind figures out what you're doing and integrates it, that's when the narcissistic trick doesn't work and it falls apart. And the person you're talking to most likely says, "Oh, okay," and has a reaction like, "This person's a little bit odd," which essentially means they've called you out for being a wizard. But because we live in a world that is very slow to acknowledge the energetic dynamics that exist, oftentimes these people get away with what they're doing, and they get away with casting spells. And when they cast spells often enough and well enough in their lives, they get a reality that is basically the sum total of the spells that they have cast, which is their narcissistic fairyland, Disneyland, fake reality. They construct the fake reality that is the only way that they know to survive, essentially. Okay? But what it actually gives them, because we all do things, we all construct the realities around us in order to serve a purpose. The reason they do that is because it gives them a sense of stability. It gives them a sense of, oh, I can hang on another day. I can live this way. And so through that, they're casting their spells and they're working with other people and drawing into the unconscious level of other people in order to create that facade. What about the other side of the coin, which would be more codependent-minded people, or those who are essentially looking for someone to create a fantasy, looking for someone's fantasy to latch onto? Well, they're looking for wizards and sorcerers. They're looking for spellcasters, because the spellcasters are the ones who create that bubble, who create the Disneyland for them. So you can almost look at these codependent people as walking around their world, sort of scouting out who has that golden halo, except this is not an angelic golden halo. This is a golden halo of the ability to create narratives and the ability to create stories. It's the golden halo of the ability to spellcast. And when codependent people see that propensity and they see that ability in others around them, they just naturally gravitate there, because what it means to them is, wow, this is someone who helps me bypass confrontation with myself. This is someone who helps me bypass confrontation with my inner demons, my inner child, my inner pain. This person gives me Willy Wonka's golden ticket, essentially, where I get to feel magnificent and great on a daily basis. Except in practice, the relationship is not going to be such a walk in the park, but that's sort of another story. What they're looking for when they're attracted to this spellcaster is they're attracted to someone who knows how to manipulate the folds of time and the folds of energy. Someone who knows how to drive a wedge between conscious and unconscious, between grounded reality and flighty, groundless fantasy. And these spellcasters are just the ones who know how to do that. And so the codependent people are drawn to them and they say, wow, this is super cool. You give me an opportunity to jump outside of my own worlds of problems and my own worlds of feeling weak and feeling impotent. You give me a chance to be a part of some kind of a movement almost. And if this is a romantic situation, it becomes a movement of two, a romantic partnership. And if this is based on a friend situation or just acquaintances or somebody at work or whatever, or another kind of family relationships, this becomes a situation where the codependent person kind of gloms on to this narcissistic spellcaster, because that spellcaster with their golden halo gives them an opportunity to step outside their problems and join this little club. And so oftentimes you see these narcissists who become kind of like the Pied Pipers, who run around having their little group, whether it's a group of two, a group of family members, a group of friends, a social circle, a little clique at school or at work. And that becomes the kind of narcissistic club. And they walk around like a gaggle of geese usually, and in a magical sense, an energetic sense, they're a bunch of followers or devotees flocking around their wizard. And the wizard is the one who can spellcast. The wizard takes the wand and looks at each member of the group and says, oh, okay, I'm going to decide what your reality is. And I'm going to decide what your reality is. And I'm going to decide what your reality is. And they sort of cancel or give the impression of canceling the unpleasant features of the reality, the sort of demons and the darkness and the insecurity and all the rest. And they seem to enhance all the really lovely and beautiful and glamorous aspects of the reality where everything is magically okay. And again, that doesn't actually work in practice. It quickly unravels when you spend time with this kind of person. But that's exactly it. The fact that it will tend to unravel actually enhances, paradoxically, the magical quality. Because what it does is at every stage, it offers this opportunity. It like ups the level, it ups the ante to this relationship, partnership, or club. Because it says to the members, hey, I'm being toxic now. I'm forcing you guys to be uncomfortable. I'm calling you guys names. I'm getting a little sarcastic. I'm getting a little rude or bitchy. I'm forcing you to neglect important things in your life. I'm forcing you to look down on yourself. I'm devaluing you, whatever. But I'm doing that in a way where now you have a decision as the codependent. You can either stay in the club or you can leave. And if you stay in the club, it means you have to move even farther away from reality, right? Because if you stay in the club after they're being an asshole, it means that you are deciding to make your reality even more the reality of the spell-casting narcissist. Your reality becomes even more dependent on theirs. And the idea of you having a separate self that would need to be more grounded in your own reality and your own timelines, well, that kind of falls away. So that's what I'm saying. Every level it goes up and up and up, and before you know it, it's almost impossible to even see how you could have a reality that isn't theirs. And that's the kind of magic of the spell-casting narcissist. And of course, as time goes on, whether it's a romantic partnership or a group of friends, almost like a cult, you will get a chance to see the narcissist do this to other people, whether it's passersby on the street, customer service people on the phone, their own family members, their coworkers, their boss, the checkout person at the store, whatever. You will see the narcissist doing their tricks and playing their mind games with total strangers. And it just reinforces their power as the wizard, because you will see them playing hot and cold. You will hear them on the phone with someone who works for a bank or for a hotel or a credit card company, and you will hear them be rude and insolent, and then all of a sudden be super friendly and nice, and all these kinds of ups and downs. You will see them doing that with their siblings or their other friends, where all of a sudden they start driving this wedge between reality and fantasy and forcing these other people to choose what kind of world they want to live in. Hey, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but you see that they have the power to over and over again create these gambits and create these decision points. That's a cool way to think about it. They create decision points for other people in their lives, even if it's people that they know, like strangers, someone they know for 1 or 2 minutes of a short interaction. They create decision points for those other people, where the other people have to decide what reality they want to be in, and if they're strong enough internally to value their own energy sovereignty and to say, yeah, I'm good with myself, I'm good with reality as I know it, I don't need to jump ship and join you. So anyway, it's crazy when you think about it, but this is how it works. There's actually, you can think of it as spell-casting narcissists, and then the codependents who are drawn to that spell-casting quality, that quality of being able to conjure up their own reality around them that becomes essentially divorced from the grounded, true realm that we're in. Okay, I hope that was cool. I hope you got a new point of view.